made in the world. I attended the Russia Economic University in Moscow, which happens to be their first class university in economics, and I also attended the University of Scotland in Glasgow, but now in Ghana, the University of Professional Science. Wherever I go, I return to serve. Over the years, I was privileged to serve as a lecturer, senior lecturer, head of marketing department, dean of management, pro-rector, rector, and the first vice chancellor of the University of Professional Science. Each role was a sacred trust, a duty to nurture people, ideas, and progress. A vision for transformation. When I assumed office as rector, I told colleagues and students, and I quote, "Together, we will transform this institution into a true center of excellence." Some doubted, given our limited resources, but I assured them. And I said again, and I quote, "One day, you may have to remove your shoes before entering this campus, not because of a rule, but because of the dignity and beauty we will build together." This message was clear. Excellence is possible right here in Ghana. Transformation begins with vision, but it's achieved through people. One key attribute of a transformative leader is how you handle resistance. Because when we are transforming, there are problems. Resistance is not an enemy. It is often fear of the unknown. It is simply energy moving in a different direction, or energy driven in a different direction. A leader must rechannel it into positive use. And in my experience, this is always possible. Building the human spirit before building structures. The first stage of transformation was not infrastructure. It was people. Our human resource needed strengthening, motivation, and recognition. I knew that my greatest asset was time. My greatest asset was time. And I dedicated it to expanding opportunities and stabilizing the institution. Expanding access and stabilizing the institution. First, shifted government-funded programs. It's a government school, so government handles teaching and everything. So I grouped that and I made that the morning school or the morning session. So we had afternoon and evening free, and the place here was quiet. So we introduced the evening school, attracting mature and working students, generating revenue, and reducing activism. You know, the morning school was full of the young ones, and they needed everything, but we had no resources. So I needed another group to balance them. So the evening school, who were workers and they needed to complete quickly, we never allowed them to demonstrate. I had a piece of money to run this. I further created a weekend school, expanding access and strengthening alumni network. The alumni was dead, but these were workers who will finish in some few years and become members of that. So we expanded, created a weekend school. And the alumni is the strongest marketing tool for image We secured the presidential charter, giving IPS autonomy to award its own degrees. We are at the University of Ghana. It had its own programs. So we moved for the presidential charter and we got it. But there was one key problem. Every year, universities have to increase their fees. All universities, because of inflation. And this attracted students the most every time. Negotiation with the SRC, a whole lot of problems. So I sat one day and I said, I need peace of mind to run and develop this. So this is stop. So I came with what we call the fee determination policy. And how does it work? If a student should pay 100 cedis, for example, in the first year, next year, because of inflation, let's assume it's 10%, you will now pay 100 cedis plus 10% of 100 cedis, which is 110. The third year, you will pay 110 cedis plus 10% of 110. And it goes on to the fourth year. But students do not allow. So what did we do? We came out with this policy where 100 cedis year 1, 102 year 2, 121 year 3, and then year 4, you add all and divide by 4, and that's what we pay the first year to the end. So they paid in advance, but they didn't know. That's and I called the mathematicians and we sat together and we kept it in a mathematical model, and that was the fee determination policy. Ended it. So when other colleagues in the university, or other universities go on demonstration because of us, we are at peace. The next is the rampant disturbance from ECG, where they come and put off our lives because the government has not paid, and of course the school cannot pay. So I sat one day and I told myself, how can I solve this? It was in almost all the universities. Then I remembered something. When I was in the University of Accra, my department, which happened to be a marketing department, was on a very steep hill. Before you climb, you have to take a long breath. And you climb it for about 10 to 15 minutes, then you get to the department. So normally you get to the department, you don't have to come down until you finish everything because of the hill. It was a day I was in a lecture room, and something told me that I left my light on in my hostel. And those of us who studied in Europe, you know what it means if you leave your lights on in your room. So there was a consultation course. Do I leave, descend, and go and put up my light, or sit in the lecture room and bear the consequences? Opportunity course. So I decided to leave the lecture hall. Went to the hostel, opened my door, and I realized that I kept on the lights. The idea is how to climb back to the department. I did that. So in my office to this program, I called the physical development and I asked him, the project at the hostel was about 85% complete. Then I asked him, is it possible to meter every room? He gave me 1 week, went and paid me 7 years. The cost, another 1 week, 2 million additional. Let's take to the meeting and approve. Which company? He said ECG. They are submitted. So the over 300 rooms in the student hostel, every room is meeting. I never had Prof ECG, and that solved my problem. If you like, put on your light today, make as a student, you'll be your own. Now, developing the academic talents. At the time I took over, only one lecturer had a doctorate degree, and recruitment was frozen. I had to develop my academic staff. I personally visited the National Accreditation Board to present our challenge. The NAB was led by the late Mr. Data and presented my challenge. The National Accreditation Board recommended to me SMC University for doctoral studies. But for the purpose of due diligence, I then wrote officially to the National Accreditation Board, and they responded to tell me, yes, it's a good university. I then wrote to the Swiss Embassy, and the Swiss Embassy also responded positively. It's a good university. And together with my registrar, is here today, we made a trip to Switzerland to visit the university for more due diligence, and it was positive. Participants in the program went through the academic rigor. Many spent over 5 years for their doctorate. Today, they serve as heads of departments, vice chancellors, even some are advisors to the Bank of Ghana. I heard some few days ago from the GTEC. And when they completed, GTEC endorsed their certificates and said they were recognized in Ghana. We should not use regulatory authority to destroy them. When I was a young minister, getting to Christmas, I used to get a lot of hampers filled in my rooms, and I used to call friends to come and pick them as a young minister. I told this story to one regulator. Now came year 2000, election year. 7 December, up to 7 December, no hamper. Then, after 7 December, no winner. So no hamper again. There was no hamper until we finished Christmas. And there was no hamper for the whole year. That was when I realized that the hampers were meant for the chair, not me. When we are in a position, we should be very careful. The way we use power. We should realize it. Transformation began with people, inspiring them, trusting them, and empowering them. The fruits of collective efforts. That way, staff, students, and alumni embrace a shared vision. The vision must be well communicated and must be collectively owned before we can transform the system. Students who used to demonstrate, having seen the vision, now voluntarily met and contributed every year to support the Vice Chancellor to build a new student hostel, apart from the school fees. The UPSA and TEU never went on demonstration, even though their mother unions went on demonstration. And how did we achieve this? I told them, you can join the mother union to go on demonstration, but this is your campus. And look at their campus. We are all here. And I used to have a very funny story. If you eat cassava and pepper in the morning, you wear suit. Nobody knows that you eat cassava. The environment must be very good. So develop your environment. Students were paying for the evening and weekend program for us to develop the school. And you say you are going on administration. No, they never went on administration. And all of this, I'm proud to see my chiefs here. My chiefs from the world gave me all the necessary support to run the affairs of this country. And I want to salute you for your presence. For this support, I'm deeply grateful. These collective efforts led to recognition such as Chartered Institute of Marketing Man of the Year, the first time it went to an educational institution. I was awarded that. The All African Students Union Best Vice Chancellor of the Year. The most influential public sector leader by Imanigan, and the Order of the Voter, among others. These honors reflected teamwork, sacrifice, and a shared sense of purpose. To everyone who walked this journey with me, I say thank you. The essence of transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, transformation is not an event. It is a journey built on discipline, vision, humility, and integrity. A true transformative leader builds systems so solid that no successor, I repeat, no successor can afford to underperform, because the people themselves will demand excellence. So you can't leave the school and underperform. The people will demand excellence. And that is the hallmark of a true transformative leader. The mark of a true leader, the mark of a true leader is the test of absence. No, you don't know. This is the mark of a true leader. Leadership is what happens every day. When leaders and members create value, that makes others happy, not to make them sad. At IPS, UPSA, we build our values on excellence, accountability, professionalism, and service. We nurture not just colleagues, but leaders, not certificates, but character. And I said we also nurture leaders. When I take over, my students will go for the next congress and will come and introduce themselves. Say we went and we won. Secretary, treasurer. They want their problem. So you have to secretary and treasurer. When your colleagues are presidents, news presidents, and secretaries, what do you mean? So I sat down with my students and we drew a plan of action to capture the needs. Ladies and gentlemen, the plan went, and before I left the school, we produced 3 news presidents. We also produced 2 secretary generals of the All African Students Union. Rewarding knowledge. Throughout my academic and public life, one principle has guided me. Hard work must never go unnoticed. Recognition need not always be monetary. Sometimes it is a thank you, a handshake, or a public acknowledgement. This simple act builds pride and strengthens the institution. Ghana and Africa must reward merit and celebrate excellence if we are to transform. completed my second term as Vice Chancellor at age 58. That was in 2016. I converted my remaining years, 2 years, into sabbatical to allow the next generation to lead. I didn't want to be here, to allow them to lead. Because I was keen in getting them there. The previous Vice Chancellor was somebody I mentored. And the current Vice Chancellor, like I said, I mentored him. He was the SRC president when I was a lecturer here. And I'll tell you a very funny story. The students decided to rebel against him. Then he came to my office. Then I looked at the young man, SRC president, they want to match him. I told them that, number one, we are going to build a new library for this school. Go and tell the students that you have forced us to build a library. Number two, you are a member of council. They give you allowance. After every meeting, go and sit down with the vocal guys and treat them nicely. When he finished his course here, I moved for us to engage you on National Service Solution. And I continue to mentor him. Today, he has read a citation for my honorary doctorate. We nurture leaders. I deeply appreciate the current UPSA administration for their maturity, respect, and recognition of past contributors. Their gesture strengthens institutional memory and ensures continuity. As I look around this campus today, I am filled with joy. It was not easy, but we did it. Together, we did it. If my journey teaches anything, it is this: vision must meet integrity. Hard work must meet teamwork. And success must be accompanied by gratitude. To the young people here, do not wait for perfect conditions. Start where you are. Use what you have and give your best. Hard work may delay, but never goes unnoticed or unheard. I cannot conclude without expressing gratitude to the President and the people of Ghana for once again granting me the opportunity to serve this country. When I assumed office as board chairman of GCB Bank in January, the share price was about 6 cents per share. Working with my board, we recruited top professionals, strengthened the executive committee, and implemented a new strategic direction, supported by a strong national economy. Today, as we speak, from 6 cents, the share price is 19 cents. In the coming months, we will continue to work to make GCB Bank not only Ghana's #1 bank, but one of the strongest in West Africa. As I receive this doctorate, I am filled not with pride, but with gratitude to God for His sustaining grace, to my family for their unwavering support, to colleagues, students, and alumni for their trust. In fact, they really trust me. It's not me. and to this great university, my university, for allowing me to contribute to its talk. Ladies and gentlemen, the true measure of leadership is how deeply we serve. The true measure of success is the legacy we have. The true measure of transformation is the lives we touch. As I drive past this university, my satisfaction is not only in its development, but also in the thousands of jobs created around it through the transformation we pursued. As a nation, if we recognize performance regardless of political affiliation, Ghana will have many role models for the youth, the women. We should not wait for a particular party to be in power before we recognize or appreciate excellence. Let us continue to build university and a nation rooted in excellence, integrity, and service. May UPSA remain a beacon of professionalism, innovation, and ethical leadership. May future generations look back and say, they dreamt, they built, they transformed. Thank you very much.